This is Mark Simmons. You're watching the DO Boxing Show.
Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. We're here with Mark Simmons at Clancy's Boxing Gym, and we're just going to get to know Mark and a little bit more about his career from the amateurs right up to what he's doing now, which is refereeing. Tell us, Mark, how did you get involved in boxing?
Well, it's funny. My father took me down to a gym called the Toronto Newsboys Boxing Club, and that was 1979. I was 5 years old. 1980, I had my first fight. So I started back a long time ago. So this is around the era where I watched fighters like Eddie Mello, Nicky Furlano, Donald Bull, Remo DiCarlo. There were so many great fighters back there, and I think it was a great era of boxing.
So you're 5 when you actually started.
Yes.
And who first started training you?
There was a coach down the gym. His name was Dave Georgioff, and he had a brother, Timmy. And my dad coached me too. He kind of trained me, but there's always different coaches within the gym that over the years. There's another guy, Kenny Haynes, that trained me too. And as the years went on, I had every coach you could think of. Pat Kahn, Mike Delisle, I think his name was. Marcus Ward, Adrian Rescue, went on, and I had a vast, group of different styles from different coaches.
So how old were you when you had your first fight?
So back then, the funny thing was they used to let kids box at 6 years of age. I had, from 6 years of age to 10, I probably had about 70 fights. And but the majority of them were amateur, were exhibitions, because they would let you do exhibition fights. The funny thing was, when I was 8 years of age, I fought a guy from Washington, D.C. The name was Mark Johnson. So I didn't know much about him, but it was a decision fight, and he ended up beating me. And he was 11 years old, but we were at 80 pounds at that time. So years later, maybe 12, 13 years later, I see this fight. IBF World Super Featherweight Champion. It was Mark Too Sharp Johnson. I boxed him at 8 years of age, and now he's in the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
That's amazing. So going through your amateur career, man, you've fought a lot. Can you tell us some highlights? Can you just bring us through tournaments and different things that you've gone? And we know you've gone to Olympics. Can you just elaborate on kind of the body of work that you've done as an amateur?
Yeah, so I guess what I'll speak to is I boxed for years in the boxing gyms and so forth, but I won some, I lost some. I never really excelled as a junior boxer or anything, but I realized years later, actually my coach at the time, Marcus Ward, took me down to a gym called Thistletown Boxing Club, and that was run by Adrian Rescue. That club had every national champion in there. It was Dominic Verlaine, Jerry Verlaine, there was the Vanderpool brothers, Sidney Vanderpool, Fitz Vanderpool, Chris Johnson, Lennox Lewis was there at the time. And he took me down, and I remember Asif Dar, one of the great fighters, Asif Dar. And what I remember is I was a tough kid, but technically I didn't have all the skills that I needed. And all these fighters were national champions, and boom, I remember sparring with Dominic Verlaine, 106 pounds, I was maybe 120, 125 pounds, and he pitter-pattered me to death, like he outboxed me. I mean, he was a lot smaller, and I'm thinking, I couldn't get to him. But over the years, and it was Jerry, and then it was the Vanderpools, and then I started to learn, I started to see what they were doing and how they were outpointing me. And this is my advice to any young boxer: train with fighters better than you, because you will become better. And of course, we had the coaching there. And the great thing back then with Adrian is he let all different coaches into the gym. This is a little bit different from what they have. They have the national training program where I think there's one head coach or something. Back then, they had the national training at the gym, Thistletown, but other coaches were allowed in there. So you learn and learn. So over the years, what happened is I went to the nationals at 18 years of age. I won the Ontario Championships. Ontario was a dominant province back then. We had 12 weight divisions. 9 of the champions were from Ontario. I went to the nationals at 18. I won a silver medal. The next 4 years, I was second in Canada. But then I finally won after the '96 Olympics, which I was nearly I was almost there at the '96 Olympics. I lost to a fighter that emigrated from Nigeria, David Okposio. He represented Canada. He won a silver medal for Canada. That's who I lost to. I saw how well he did. I said, no one's going to beat me now. And for the next 4 years, I dominated. No one in Canada beat me. I went to the Francophone Games, got a silver medal there. I went to the Commonwealth Games, got a gold medal there. I went to the Pan Am Games, got a silver medal there, and Olympic Games. And the Olympics, I was one win away from a medal. So.
And this was the 2000 Olympics?
2000,
okay.
Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's things I would have done a little bit different there. I beat the guy I lost to at the Olympic Games a year before in Germany. I won the tournament in Germany. It's called the Chemistry Cup. If you look at those champions that won that tournament, it's like the greats of boxing. You know, the Cuban national, you know, there's Teofilo Stevenson, Felix Savon. Of course, I fought Felix Savon twice. He's three-time Olympic gold medalist. I boxed him in 1997 in Cuba. It was a 5-round fight. It was at their Cuban national championships, and the first round was down 5-0. But I ended up only losing 12-8, and I had 2 points taken off, which to this day I don't know why. When I say 2 points, the referee took 1 point off, but in the computer scoring system it counted for 2. So I look at it and say I won the last 4 rounds. That's the way I look at it, and then I fought him again at the World Championships too.
And did you stay on for a second Olympics?
No, my first opportunity was '96 Olympics, and you know. That hurt me that I didn't make that, but I don't think I was ready for the '96 Olympics. But when I saw some of my buddies like Troy Ross and Dominic Filane and some of the great fighters, you see Mike Strange, the defense that he had, it was good because I saw how well they did, and I knew I could be there one day, and that's essentially what I did.
Very nice. Yeah. And so, after the 2000 Olympics, what was your thinking at that time, and how much longer did you continue to fight?
Well, yeah, so I guess at one point I changed coaches to Dwight Fraser, who really was great in terms of the defensive qualities that he brought. He was all about defense, hit and not get hit. And then I went to the Olympics, and at that point, 2000, I'd already been boxing for 20 years, and I think I was only 26, which is pretty much your prime in boxing, especially as a heavyweight. But the fight was gone. I don't know what it was. They talk about the eye of the tiger, the drive. I just didn't have it anymore. I went to the pinnacle of sport at the Olympic Games, and I think a year later I came back and I boxed in the provincial championships, but I didn't want to be there. I didn't train, and I lost to a guy who never would have beat me in a million years, right? But I lost to a guy, and I realized, you know what, I don't want to box anymore. It was hard for me to walk away because I was still in the gym, kind of working out, training, and the odd time I'm sparring with people, and I'm thinking, they can't touch me. I had faster speed than anybody, and that was something I built up because I started so young. You build up those fast switch fighters, and as a heavyweight, nobody could touch me at heavyweight. As a middleweight, sometimes it's a little bit tougher because people were physically stronger than me. My body wasn't mature. I didn't mature until I was 19, 20 years old. But after that, I stepped away, and I thought about coming back, and I said, you know what, no. And I got a movie role and things like that. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so how many fights did you end your amateur career with?
So official fights, we're not talking about exhibitions, 225 fights.
Okay.
I probably had over 100 exhibition fights.
Okay.
Yeah, because back then they didn't allow you to have full judge fights.
Right.
So from 6 years of age to 10 years of age, there was like 70, 80 exhibitions at least.
Okay.
And then they stopped me boxing. New rules came out and said you can't box until you're 11 years old. So for about 8 months, I was not allowed to box anymore.
Okay.
And then I had my first fight at 11.
Oh,
first
okay.
official fight.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. And then, sorry.
No, I guess my first official fight was against Mark Too Sharp Johnson.
Oh, okay.
That was a decision fight. That was my only decision fight before the age of 10. And I don't know why it was a decision, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so then, what about the movie role? How was that? Like, you stopped boxing, and what year was that in?
2001. Yeah.
2001, and then you got the part. Was it in Cinderella Man?
Yeah, so years ago I also had a part in a movie called Marciano. I played a fighter, Max Schmeling, from the 30s. But that was with John Favreau. He was one of the actors. The movie was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but 2004 comes along, and I got a phone call to come to an audition for this film. And so I go to the audition, and there's Ron Howard, the famous director, Happy Days and everything, and I'm like thrilled just to meet him. And what happened is they said, "Can you go to Australia?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." But I was working full time, but I basically used my vacation. Ended up going to Australia. I did the choreography there with Russell Crowe, and I made a lot of money in that movie. I made a lot of money because I was also hired as a stunt double.
Okay.
So it was probably like about 190,000.
Wow.
Like in the end, like that's a lot of money. Like,
oh, that's a lot of money, yeah.
But the tax man comes coming.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all good. But it was good times. I had a lot of fun, a great experience, and I'm in a great movie. I had a lot of makeup in there, about 3.5 hours of makeup, so prosthetic nose, dark hair. Like they dyed my hair dark. They gave me a little bald spot up here. Maybe it is a real bald spot. I don't know. but yeah, they made me look a little bit different, but it was a great experience.
And so, I know that you've done some coaching as well, and you continue to. But can you tell us about the career step into refereeing, and kind of what spawned that on, and when did you start doing that?
Yeah, so it's funny. So yeah, I do a little bit of coaching. Mainly, I just do corporate one-on-one clients and so forth. I do some coaching for a couple events they have here at Clancy's, the Real Estate Wars and Agency Wars. One of the team coaches. But the refereeing was interesting. It was actually my doctor, Dr. Murray. He said, have you ever considered refereeing? I said, yeah. But I actually had never considered refereeing in my life. So what happened is he put me in touch with actually the commissioner at the time. And I started out refereeing, I think it was 2011. And my first fight that I refereed was Denton Daly. He had a fight against a kid from out west. And it's funny because I was actually, when I was in the gym in the mid-2000s at Dwight's gym, training there, I was, I sparred with Denton and, helped him along. And not often, I think it was only once or twice I sparred with him, but now there was refereeing. So now I've had probably, it's very close to 100 fights I've refereed. And over the years, you learn. I've attended referee seminars, and you see different aspects in the ring every time. In a pro fight, there's so many things that can happen, and my job is to enforce the rules and ensure the safety of the fighter, and I take that seriously.
And so, just moving forward, where do you look at, or where do you look at doing things in boxing? Are you looking at continuing in refereeing? Are you looking at doing any other things? Like, what do you see kind of in the future with regards to boxing?
I feel boxing is such a big part of my life. It's so vast. I love it. I love the sport. I love refereeing. I love being there ringside, seeing the fighters, seeing the local fighters, and ensuring that when I'm in the ring, I go into the ring hoping nobody gets hurt. That's not what the fighters think. The fighters hope they hurt the other fighter. I hope no one gets hurt, and I hope it's as fair a fight as possible, and I don't make any mistakes, because referees can make mistakes. I love training people too. Time-wise, I have a family, I have kids. I work full-time. I just don't have the time. I would love to do more, but the reality is I don't have the time.
So do you see yourself continuing with the refereeing?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will continue to referee. The difference is with refereeing, in order to do the world title fights and so forth, you have to attend the conferences on an annual basis. And sometimes time doesn't permit that for me. So right now I've been doing quite a few title fights locally here in, whether it's Mississauga or, whether the promotions are. So I've actually, I've done a couple of world title fights too. We'll see where it goes. I just keep working hard and learning. I look up to a lot of these top referees, whether it's Kenny Bayless, Vic Draculet, Mark Nelson recently came to Toronto, actually Brampton, and he refereed a title fight there. And to see him in person and work in person, it was phenomenal. Just how calm, relaxed he was in there, and how he enforced the rules in a fight that was extremely difficult to referee. And I'm glad he refereed that fight, because if any of us local referees had refereed that fight, they probably would have said, you know, the referee lost control of the fight. But the reality was, he did a phenomenal job and very difficult.
And we've also seen Steve Smoger up here as well.
Smoger,
yeah. So a lot of referees, and the great thing about refereeing, it's one of those things where you can do for a long time. Basically, there's a long shelf life for referees.
It's true. Yeah, I'm 43, going on 44. You still got, you know, I think you still have to be somewhat in shape to move around. Sometimes I find myself moving around the ring like a fighter. I'm dancing around the ring. I'm getting into it, but then I got to slow it down. But wait, I'm the referee. I'm not a fighter. You know, so you know, I think I got quite a few years left. But we'll see. We'll see where it takes me.
Excellent. So thanks a lot, Mark Simmons, for letting us know about your vast amateur career. It was really knowledgeable and it was entertaining. And remember, if you have any questions related to boxing, send us a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO or through email at posio@hotmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to YouTube to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Hey, Donald Booth, what's up? Thanks for taking an interest in my career, and I'm donating these boots to you.